What up, it's Guru Jojo. In this video, I want to speak about relationships, what ultimately causes relationships to fail. Now, this is a positive video despite what I'm saying. It's just that I have to kind of explain, by me explaining what makes relationships fail, it should bring clarity as to how to actually, what would make sense for two people to stay together and stuff like that. Today's date is Wednesday, March 24th. So boom, bringing in the topic. Relationships. What causes relationships to be successful? Shared values. Equality in the area of shared values and shared insecurities. Equality in the area of shared insecurities. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is that when two people have like-mindedness in multiple areas, thumbs up for the most part. Okay, these like-mindedness don't have to be exactly equal. Okay, this is the reason why somebody could be good looking, another person could be less good looking, but they could have money, and this could draw in a relationship. Because although this may be physical attraction versus luxury or monetary, it's both a form of luxury in a sense. Boom, there we go. That's what I was trying to say. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, whenever there's a like-mindedness in some sort of way, this helps the relationship. Let's provide another example. So let's say that both parties of people, right? They both are hard workers and they both value a traditional lifestyle. This is good for the relationship because y'all have a like-mindedness in this relationship. So this would be most likely with somebody like this who may value a traditional lifestyle, they both may work a similar job at a similar time, and so the schedules are similar. So this helps the relationship. Basically, this helps the relationship to stick together because you are essentially sticking together through the like-mindedness. Shared values is a plus. Shared insecurities is a big deal. This is very simple. When I say shared insecurities, I simply mean that you have the same insecurities as another person. And thus, this helps maintain the strength of the relationship. So y'all are vulnerable at the same time. So for example, let's utilize an extreme example, the movie Twilight. There was, I think her name was Bella, and I want to say the guy's name was Edward, okay? The guy who, the main guy, he sparkled in the sun, he was the vampire. Bella's a regular human being, Edward's a vampire, right? Okay. They may have had shared values in some sort of way, but their shared insecurities were not the same. At the end of the day, Bella was a normal human being, which means that she got hungry and ate food. She got tired, insecurity, and went to sleep. You know what I'm saying? Edward did not. So there was a problem with the shared insecurity because Edward did not have enough He did not have enough insecurities. He did not have enough insecurities in order to feel what? In order to feel relatable to what's her name? So the shared values were not the same. You understand? The shared values were not the same. No, so you see, the shared insecurities were not the same. The shared insecurities were not the same. Because what? Because Edward was literally a vampire that never slept. He was never hungry, and this is normal stuff that people generally do. This is like a normal insecurity. It's normal to feel hungry and eat food. It's normal to feel sleepy and go to sleep. This is normal things these are normal insecurities that human beings partake in together. So when these needs are not met, but these insecurities seem to be out of line, out of whack between two individuals, or however people are in the relationships, because we got the poly relationships and stuff today too, there's a problem. This becomes an issue. Interferences are also an issue when it comes to relationships, because once upon a time, the shared values were the same. Once upon a time, the shared insecurities were the same, but then somebody's health may have deteriorated, and now there's a change in the insecurities. Once these shared insecurities, especially, because shared values, in my opinion, is like, it shouldn't be that big of a flipping deal. But once the insecurities become unaligned, this is a huge issue in relationships. So what I'm saying is, when people start to change their lifestyle in relationships and the other person is not really attuned with that, this interferes the insecurities in the relationship. People's health, okay, could cause problems in relationships too. If the other person's insecurities become too unaligned and stuff like that, and the other person starts to feel insecure because the insecurities are not being met with that person, the person becomes suspicious, like, whoa, who are you eating with then? You know, it's silly the way that but naturally this is what's happening subconsciously to the human mind in relationships. You want the shared values to be similar. So this is a lot of times why people that are in particular groups or have particular interests date amongst, or they're in relationships amongst people with those similar interests. Like musicians and stuff typically have to date another type of artist or something like that, or somebody who's open to that type of lifestyle, or else you're going to be pissed off that your significant other is missing for like flipping hours because they're in the zone listening to music. I don't think that I am the best. I'm all over the place, a mess. But I still got my spirit, guys, they protect over me. Play phony, under the pressure. I don't need just the expression. I own it. I'm the possessor. I own it. I hold to circle virtue. I own tune sacred, very true. Time is up. Literally, time is up. The air is up. Your scientist boyfriend is in the zone to interfere with the ability to have relationships because the insecurities are not lined up. You see? So it's so simple. It's easier to understand than to actually like play out, because at the end of the day, you like, I get these things, but at the end of the day, it don't mean that other people get it. Like it's weird, but this is the reason why relationships are successful and why they're unsuccessful. Somebody values work so much and they're always working. Their significant other, they value work, but they're kind of like ready to retire, and so now there's an issue in the insecurities. That person is always working, and their schedule is now completely different from their significant other who has like a less hourly working schedule. You know what I'm saying? Now today, these insecurities can be fulfilled through the new technology. Like, I know there's plenty of people who have completely different work schedules, but they FaceTime one another a lot. They talk on the phone a lot. They maintain, a connection despite the distance, despite the insecurities. So, oh, what did you eat today? Like, oh, I had rice and whatever the heck you had. And that helps to maintain a relationship despite the insecurities. Are very important. Shared insecurities are very important. So by this I mean that most people get hungry and they eat food. Most people get sleepy and they go to sleep. Most people get frisky and they have sex. When these values, these are basic insecurities, not values, are not met in a compromising way, the relationship will end. Most likely it will not work. There has to be a balance, a agreement in the area of limitations and freedom values, and insecurities. And as long as all that stuff is like agreed upon and pretty much lined up and whatnot in some sort of way that is reflective to the other person, relationships work. As soon as there's an imbalance, relationships, it's time for that conversation. And if you don't want to have that conversation, because a lot of times what I'm explaining, okay, is deep. It's very subconscious. A lot of y'all don't understand that this is why your relationships are not working. This is what's happening to you at a subconscious level. You feel like your partner's cheating and stuff. A lot of times your partners are not cheating. You're just not sharing the insecurities in the relationship any longer. The insecurities are not being lined up. And once that happens, you feel suspicious of your partner and you begin to make shit up. And then you just keep making shit up and you keep causing more arguments. Nothing's being relieved. Nothing's actually being spoken about because it's subconscious. You don't understand what's wrong. So you can't really bring up a conversation to complain about it. So you're going to sound like she-wolf. You're going to sound literally like you're the boy or the girl who cried wolf. Like, you know what I'm saying? You start to not stand the person, like, oh, you're breathing, get away from me. Like you start to get annoyed of certain things. Subconsciously, what's happening, these shared insecurities are not shared. Your insecurities are switching up. The chemistry isn't there, in other words. That's what's happening. You also need to understand your limitations as it relates to compromising in any given situation, especially relationships. What I simply mean by this is what? What I simply mean is this. Even though you see somebody doing something, maybe relevant to their insecurities, you have to know your own body. You have to know your own health and you have to know your own limits. So it takes a certain amount of wisdom and a certain amount of vulnerability, I want to say, to be okay with not having to do exactly or do more than what your partner is doing. Because some people have a one-upping vibe and they have to one-up everything, and this causes problems in relationships as well.